Welcome to the 7 People Podcast, your guide to creating irresistible organizations.
And today we're talking about goal setting, something that should be so straightforward, but often ends up being a mess. And we will discuss this with Koen Veltman. Welcome.
Thanks.
And Koen, maybe you can tell us, why do so many people struggle with goal setting?
It sounds simple, but it's really challenging, really complicated. If you do it too easy, it doesn't work. You don't make choices, it's too much, you don't follow through. There can go so many things wrong.
Yeah.
I think the key is to make choices.
Choices. And people find it difficult to make choices.
Well, it's easier to say yes to things, but it's harder to say no to things.
True.
Of course, we say yes and don't think it through, and then it's too much. Or there are a lot of other things which you implicitly say yes to, but you should actually say no to.
So unreachable goals, let's say.
Yeah, too big goals. Also a big mistake like, oh yeah, let's publish a new website in 3 months. Or let's find 100 customers. And you've never had 5 in a month.
Yeah, so Koen, like you're an expert in goal setting, right? Or it's one of your expertise. One of the many expertise. So where did you pick up this knowledge?
I worked for 10 years at McKinsey. And you do a lot of strategy there. Strategy is a really weird concept in itself, and it should lead to goal setting. And that fascinates me, being part of large companies, how that kind of organism works, how that system works. And a strategy not always leads to goals. I'm a very practical guy. So when you make those conceptual, zooming out kind of strategy documents, I always wonder, okay, what do we do tomorrow or next week? Or how does this translate to my day-to-day focus? Or what does it mean? What do we want to achieve at the end of the month or something like that? So I think that fascinates me for a long time. And I try to make practical concepts, practical approaches to make these kind of topics work.
Yeah, and I think this is a good point, because for me, or my opinion, is that this is where we get stuck, is like when we're saying let's set goals, like what are we actually talking about?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Do you know? What would it, because there's not one answer.
Yeah,
No?
exactly.
What would it be for you?
Well, actually, what I really liked was when you gave us the training at 7 People, and then you had that image. And you know, sometimes when we're talking about goals, what we're actually talking about is the mission of the company.
Yeah, the purpose, the vision, that kind of.
But then sometimes when, let's say, an employee says, "What are the goals?" they want to know what they need to do today.
Yeah.
Right. Which is a task. And I think for me, this is where we get lost a little bit in this whole like goal setting thing. It's like, what are we actually talking about? And we're not defining upfront what we're talking about here. Are we talking about a 5-year goal, a 1-year goal, or like a 3-month initiative, or today's
a target?
task?
Is there a difference between a goal and a target?
So I think language is important.
Yeah.
Paul already said 3 times goals, and he meant different things with it.
Yeah.
And I like that you get much more explicit about what is what. Like, what is purpose? What is vision? Those 2 things are really different. And then then you have ambition. That's kind of a 1 to 5 year thing. And then you have, I don't know, you can call it teams. And those are big topics you will solve. And then maybe, it's hard to use the word goal within goal setting. But maybe then you have goals which are things that you can achieve within 3 to 6 months. And then initiatives are like projects, which is kind of a week to a couple of weeks. And then you have tasks, which is kind of, okay, I can execute within the next 15 minutes or a couple of hours. And I'm not claiming that this should be the language, but I think every organization should have a kind of clear language to differentiate between all these big things from your bigger purpose till today's tasks.
And I think this is often not going great in a lot of organizations that I worked for, to be honest, because then they have like these strategic pillars, financial health, for example. And I'm like, cool. So, and now what? Like,
nice pillar, yeah.
Do I need to do something with my budget? Do I need to fire people? So how do you go from that strategic pillar, financial health, towards something smaller, for example, for a team? How do you make this pragmatic?
So the first question is, right, do you need that? Because for a lot of companies, for a lot of people, knowing that the strategic pillar is financial health, it could be enough, right? So the first question is, where do you need to be more explicit, have more detail? I would need that. I personally like a lot of detail. So if it's financial health, I kind of know rough direction.
Yeah.
But for me, it becomes from those big teams are good to communicate. They create clarity. So they need something combined with them, which is really explicit.
Okay.
What does financial health mean? What's kind of the outcome you like to achieve with it? How would you kind of measure what that looks like in a year or something like that?
So make it very specific what financial health means. That's step one, I would say then, right?
For a company, you would say like by the end of 2026, we have 5% margin, or we operate within X% budget, or we achieve 90% accuracy in budget estimation. Financial health could still mean a lot of things. I don't know. You need to be explicit what it actually means.
Yeah.
Hard concept, by the way, financial health. So
yeah.
not the easiest.
But everybody wants that.
I don't know. For me, that's making as much money as possible and having our costs as low as possible, I guess, for me. But there's lots of different angles. But I think if I understand you correctly, Flo, what you're trying to say is, if we're talking about meaningful goals, right? What you're trying to understand is how does my work contribute to that strategy or strategic pillar or whatever aspiration.
Yeah, because sometimes they create really nice strategic pillars, and for me as an employee, I'm like, okay.
And you're like, wait a minute, I'm writing employment contracts. How does that?
Yeah, how does that contribute to financial health, for example? I'm just naming one, but
this is another one. You have all those company strategy documents, and hopefully management sleeps better by having them and not worrying about them. But org structure, if I take another interesting concept, should help you solve the strategy.
Yeah.
Or should help you achieve goals. But if I interview management or start a new project, I was going, okay, what's your strategy? What's your org structure? Okay, now tell me, how does your org structure help you achieve goals? Or who owns then each of the goals or strategy items you have? And if there's no simple link, I know you create bureaucracy, politics, and you definitely don't work on your strategy.
Yeah. Now and again, people say, these goals are getting in the way of my work.
Yeah.
Which for me is which for me is a really strange thing to say, because like, what are you working on if not the you're contributing to the company goals? But then it sounds like that is because the organization is not set up correctly.
Yeah.
Could be.
There's a bit of a conceptual answer, but what you like is that as a team, as a person, you have that line of sight, like, this is what I do, this is what my team finds important, this is why it matters to the company.
Yeah.
And hopefully you have a bit of a boundary or accountability that you can say, we as a team can solve this as sitting around the table as a team, not needing to manage 7-10 different stakeholders outside of your team. And that's where org structure matters. The other interesting thing in this concept is goal setting shouldn't be about all your work. A goal setting should be about what's most important, what's the focus. Where some companies like to, take a methodology like OKRs, and then everything should be captured in OKRs. But one of the key things of goal setting is communication, that as a company you can communicate what's most important. And if you put everything in there, what do you communicate?
Yeah.
So for me also, when my daily work is 70% not about the goals, it might actually be good. But you need to have a kind of a language, a way of talking, saying, hey, this is my day-to-day work. This is my business as usual. Here I have some, KPIs that I know things are on green and things are going well. So if I have my business as usual under control, then I have 30% of the time, or 40 or 50, to focus on goals.
Yeah.
And so also that requires a little bit of clarity, a little bit of system, a little bit of language. What do the goals actually mean? What are they about? Should all my work, all my time be focused on the goals? Or only 10% or 80%? You need to have that clarity, because that gives you comfort.
So just give you an example. Now, let's say just because we know in a HR team, right, it could be like some of the KPIs could be like time to hire below a certain amount, or contracts are sent out within 24 hours. something like this.
Yeah.
So these are just day-to-day operational stuff. But then it could be, okay, one of our strategic goals is to increase employee engagement, for example.
Yeah.
The ENPS score or employee satisfaction score by X amount. But that's going to involve, that's a strategic goal, let's say an aspiration.
Yeah.
I keep using the word goal a lot for different things. So our aspiration is that is that we have an ENPS above X. Therefore, these are the projects that underpin that. So then we've got like our day-to-day business as usual because stuff is happening, which is the operational side, and then our more like tactical things on projects that we're working on.
Yeah.
Could be, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I have a client, I like actually how they do it. They have 3 ways of goal setting within the company. And you could say that's crazy. You should have 1 way. But for them, it works out. They say like, we have KPIs on our business as usual.
Yeah.
Because KPIs you can measure and you can take action if it's not in the green. And as long as it's in the green, we're happy.
Yeah.
Then they have change goals where they say like, hey, we want to improve NPS by X%. Okay, that's focus. That's 3 months, 6 months of hard work. And then we celebrate and hopefully it works out. And then they call it moonshot projects. Those you can't really measure. Let's have some AI in HR. A big project.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what will be the measurable goal about it?
Yeah, because you don't have a baseline or anything. Yeah. It's new. So
if you then put a metric on it, it always feels fake. It demotivates. So don't put a metric on it.
No.
I just make it a project, have an aspiration, some outcome. And that's a moonshot project.
An experiment.
Yeah, experiment.
Yeah.
So they have KPIs for business as usual, OKRs for change projects. That's 30 to 50% of work. And then 10% goes to moonshot projects.
Very interesting. One question then from maybe me, a bit blunt, but what is exactly the differences between a KPI and an OKR?
So there's overlap, and that makes it confusing, I think. So
for me it is.
Yeah. So for me, a KPI is has a key performance indicator.
Yeah.
So it's an indicator that says, do we perform?
Mm-hmm.
Had the longest outstanding hire is less than 30 days or 60 days.
Yeah.
So we can kind of measure if it's okay. So with KPIs, you can make a nice dashboard and say, hey, all kind of nice indicators, nice colors, and say like, are we doing good? That's a key performance indicator.
And normally you have a baseline for that. So we are doing well when we hire somebody in 30 days. That is green, for example.
For example, yeah.
Okay.
It typically helps to have some idea about that. Mm-hmm. Although, again, you have to think about if it's meaningful, if it's useful. If you put it also had target settings, kind of a weird practice. Is it motivating? I don't know. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. There's a lot of research that it isn't anymore. So watch out with putting a lot of aspiration on KPIs where it's fake, then just put it out there and let teams run it themselves, right? That's a little bit off track, but hey, that's KPIs.
Yeah.
OKRs.
Just on that one on KPIs, since what you're saying is we're going to measure the KPIs, but we're not necessarily going to say, here's a number. We're just going to say, yeah, in your team, in your best judgment, you keep it at a level that you think is acceptable.
So one of the big things for me in goal setting, what it should do is it's a communication methodology to create alignment. So if I tell you your KPI is X%, I'm not communicating.
No.
Communicating is a two-way thing. So it's the kind of conversation. What do we find important? Okay, what are actually the ways to measure it? If we think about how we perform as a team, what do we feel is good? And can we have a conversation about that? So for me, doing good goal setting is a lot of two-way communication to figure out.
But I
what
really
we
like
think and
the way
believe.
you position that, the I guess specifically KPIs and goals in general. It's a way to create alignment.
Yeah.
That's such a good way of looking at it.
That doesn't happen often. Of like what you see, it's like top down.
Yeah.
Like, hey, strategy, smack it on the table. Good luck. And then you're like, question mark. What?
Bottom up, yeah.
Bottom up is also not good, right? Yeah. That's also not communication.
No.
And so it should be an interchange. Maybe it starts top down. Where is our market? What is the overall perspective of our company? Then it goes with that focus bottom up. What do teams want? What opportunities do they see? Then it goes more in alignment. How do you kind of make choices, then it goes down again. Let's create a tactical plan with this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm much more seeing up down rhythm than bottom up or top down.
Yeah.
And it's like, in the end, both, because then we have this communication, we have this alignment.
And then it's communication.
Yeah. Cool. I interrupted you. We went on a tangent there. So, because we were talking about KPIs, which I think you explained really, really well. Like it's how we measure the health. And then we were going to talk about OKRs, which is a really common framework that we see.
Downside of KPIs is that you can have a lot, right?
Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah.
And we can measure so many things and it doesn't say what's important. It doesn't say what's meaningful. So OKRs is a way to create focus.
Okay.
It's
how? For example, we go back to financial health.
Financial health. So, and the O in OKR stands for objective.
Yeah.
So what makes you get out of bed? Why financial health is important? And the objective should be an aspiration, something that's meaningful, that you say like, oh wow, we really love to achieve this. So what would that be? It's a short sentence.
Yeah, so with this one, it could be like, I don't know, because for me, we need the financial health of the company to be good. So then we have like a long runway, which basically means we can pay people for X amount of time, right? So we want to say, okay, we want everyone to have job security. Yeah. That's our objective. And therefore, we need to have a healthy, like we have to have a healthy financially healthy company, right? Is that the right thinking?
Yeah, so this is one thing OKRs do, from a topic, financial health, which is kind of emotionless.
Yeah.
To an objective where everyone says, let's rally together.
Yeah.
And no sleepless nights about runway.
So I think that's a good one on the financial one. And then also what I've seen companies do is say, okay, the objective is to increase the ENPS. And I'm like, huh?
Why?
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So for good objective, you ask a lot of why questions. Okay, improved ENPS. Why?
Because that's more like the key result, right? Our objective could be to improve employee engagement, but also that doesn't sound that attractive or aspirational. So we might say we want to have a best-in-class employee experience, right? Oh, okay. How do we measure that? Oh, ENPS, for example.
Yeah.
It's more a tool, like the
ENPS
ENPS.
is a means to an end, right?
Yeah. So it's not necessarily the objective itself. It's more a tool.
Yeah. But actually, for me, it's broader than that. Like as I mentioned, it could be about employee experience or being a best-in-class employer, these kind of things. And one of the indicators is ENPS, for example.
Yeah. And so in language, companies have all this kind of corporate language, a best-in-class employee. When I work somewhere, do I find that, does it really trigger me? Do I really come into the door and think like, oh yeah, we want to be a best-in-class employer? For me, it personally doesn't motivate.
Right. Yeah.
I need more exciting language.
You want to have an amazing working environment, something like this. Yeah, that's more attractive to you.
More fun every day, or it's so exciting to work here, or I'm amazed by the colleagues I have.
Yeah. So think really about what is going to drive our workforce.
I need that goosebump test when I read objectives.
Oh, that's a good tip.
The goosebump test.
But this is focus, right? This is really the one thing you like to achieve, and if it doesn't create goosebumps,
nobody will care.
And you don't get that energy that you need to do something extraordinary.
Goosebump objectives. Okay,
Good.
That's the
Goosebump objectives.
Moving on to the K.
The KR. So
the KR.
Key results are measurable outcomes. So how do you measure you've achieved the objective?
Aha. What we just talked about with, for example, the ENPS.
Yeah.
Yes, but I don't like ENPS as a measure, because how often do you measure it?
Once a year.
Yeah. So then we need to pray that we'll make it.
Yeah.
I need something you can measure every week that we're on track.
Ah, okay.
Or at least at a high frequency.
Yeah.
Dus if you do a KR for a quarter, I want at least 6 measurements in between that you know you're on the right track and you can still discuss and adjust.
How can we that, for example, if we take the example of employee engagement, how can we measure that? Like, how can we make that measurable? Do you have any ideas?
Well, I mean, there's other measurements like employee satisfaction, but so some people prefer ESAT, some people prefer ENPS. But actually, what I'm advising companies now is more to deeper dive on a specific topic, right? So we might still have the biannual survey for increasing ENPS, But then we're gonna come up with a bunch of projects because there'll be some areas that has been highlighted, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, could be usually what you see, people want more structure in their careers. How do I get to the next level? How does it clear what one promotion is? And then it will come up with a bunch of projects, and then I would measure the status of those projects. Probably what I would do.
Yeah. So make it smaller.
Because I'm going to have 6. Because with KRs, key results, if I understand correctly, the next bit below it is initiatives, right?
Yeah.
So the initiatives that underpin the KR.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have 6 initiatives, 5 or 6 to move the NPS score up. Then I need to track the progress of those. How do I know if they are successful?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they might have their own individual pulse survey on a very specific topic.
Okay, you can set that up, for example, in your HRS, like every month you do a very short little survey about a specific topic with a few questions, for example.
Maybe the survey highlighted that people don't feel psychologically safe. Okay, cool. What do we need to do? We need to improve psychological safety. We need to improve inclusivity. Let's ask people about that.
So before going to initiatives, KRs. So KR should be really specific. If it's improve ENPS by 5 points, that's too broad for me. Then it's more like psychological safety is the issue. So let's do a pulse survey every 2 weeks to ask 5 questions about psychological safety. Because then you're on a level that creates focus.
Yeah.
How much focus do you have if you want to increase your biggest HR measure, ENPS, by 5 points? That's not focus.
That is what normally founders and managers want, because the investor is want to see a high ENPS. So the top-down thing again. It's not communication.
So, a good K result, KR, you write as improve metric X from value A to value B. Because then, and not plus 5%, because then at the end it's like, oh wait, what was it at the beginning? No, it's from a value A to a value B, because then you can really see progress by intervention X. And the how-to should be in the key result. If your key result only says improve ENPS, it doesn't create focus.
Okay.
It should be increase psychological safety on pulse survey XYZ from 90 to 95 by having better meetings, by learning to give feedback, by what's the how-to? Because that how-to creates the focus to define initiatives.
And I think that is one of the biggest issues, that we don't define the how-to.
Yeah.
It's just here is a OKR, good luck.
That's a fancy way of writing KPIs, right?
Yeah.
So wait, is this your experience, Flo? The CEO comes in, hey, Flo, I need you to improve the engagement score. Okay, bye.
Yeah. Kind of, not like that, but kind of yes.
Yeah. But that's also that communication we talked about, right?
Yeah.
They could say, hey, psychological safety seems to be an issue. What's your expertise? Can you tell me how? What are the options? Okay, let's do some interviews. Let's figure out.
We did a podcast on product principles in HR, and this is reminding me a lot of that. Is like, what is the actual problem?
And
and like why are we doing this? And I think the guy Luke, he said, ask why 5 times.
Yeah.
Why? And then you get to the real bottom of what is it. Okay, cool. Now I know the actual issue. Let's work on. Let's work on changing that.
So OKRs is a methodology really big in Silicon Valley with all those tech companies. Those are product organizations. So I can see that combination works well. Yeah.
What I like about OKRs is that they make our goals or initiatives meaningful, because then I know, okay, cool, this is like the broader company objective. Yeah. This is what underpins that. And then I'm down here, and then I know, okay, what I'm working on, this initiative supports this KR, which supports this objective, which supports like a bigger objective above that. So what I like about it is it creates meaningful goals.
It creates that hierarchy, right? That connection. Yeah.
But you mentioned before about having both in a company. So we have our KPIs, which are operational day-to-day health check, and we have our OKRs, and then we have our moonshot project. So I like the fact that we're using multiple. But what are other types of goal-setting methodologies?
I think there are many hybrid forms, so it's quite hard to say like these are kind of the couple of ways. OKR is really fancy at the moment, right? It became popular a couple of decades ago. I think KPIs have been there quite a long time. Then you have OGSM. A lot of corporates use them. Tough methodology. I don't see much good applications of it, but
OGSM.
Objective, goals, strategies, measures.
Okay.
It's all like squeezed into
That sounds okay though, because it sounds like we're including strategy, we're including objectives, and
everything. Yeah.
So on one side, it sounds good because you have kind of
The whole package.
the whole package on the page. But what I find hard about OGSM is that you could put everything in every bucket, and you don't make choices.
yeah.
So teams struggle, and then they put everything on that page, and yes, it's there. Okay.
And what does it mean?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's too vague.
Too vague.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I think ROCs is the fourth one. It's really popular with due to scaling up, the Verne Harnish methodology. Very simple. You just say, this is the biggest thing. No really about how to define it like OKRs. So that simplicity really helps with communication.
So is ROCs, because usually I see ROCs applied per quarters. Like this quarter is the focus.
Yeah.
This quarter we're really focusing on automating our HR processes. What could be, right? And next quarter, okay, we want to increase our use of AI. Is that?
Yeah, I think it's a separate topic.
Okay.
I believe focus you can hold on only for a relatively short amount of time.
Yeah.
3 months, 4 months, something like that.
Yeah. So is it more like a theme then? Or is it still like very specific, like, okay, goals and measures?
I think what the ROCs methodology really does well is language. So they have indeed teams which are bigger, which are for the years, and ROCs are then for the quarter. So everybody knows when you talk about ROCs, they immediately know this is our quarterly thing, whether it's quarter or trimester or whatever it is. But
the language is clear.
Language is clear. Yeah.
Okay, and that helps.
Yeah. Could it be, just to give an example of a ROC, could it be, I don't know, if we're in a sales team, we work at a SaaS company, and it's a sales team, okay, the ROCs this month, we need to sign a new enterprise client.
Yeah.
Could be?
Yeah.
Right.
The metaphor, if you have this aquarium, this fishbowl, you can put in the rocks first, and then the small pebbles, and then the sand, and you need to identify those rocks first, because if you put them in last, it doesn't fit. So identify your rocks, know what's most important, and then get it done.
Yeah, but I like it because, I mean, me personally, I'm more like a conceptual person. So I really like, okay, this is the kind of theme and these are the focus. And for me, that's enough, right? But then, I don't know, maybe you or not, Flo, but people who are more practical, like, I need to know what I need to specifically do.
Yeah,
and
I want clarity.
It needs to be clear.
Yeah.
Right.
That's that communication part. That ROC is so simple. Where in an OKR, you have an objective and then multiple key results. That's already, it's supposed to create clarity, but it's a lot of words and lines.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, or maybe where ROCs comes from is that it's originally Rockefeller habits.
Yeah, it could be. I was thinking it's more like a rock. It's where I'm anchoring myself to or tying myself to this rock. Like, this is what I'm holding on to, this rock. Yeah. I like it.
I've heard all those kind of explanations to it, and it kind of helps, right? Yeah.
And what is your favorite, most used?
From a practitioner perspective, I like what fits best, right? And I actually like that you deliberately choose one or multiple. I was quite inspired by the company that says we actually have 3 methodologies. Like, wow, don't do that. But if it's so clear when to apply it, it really works. So I'm mostly fan of that, more than, it should be OKRs or it should be ROCs. No, I don't care, as long as it fits that box of simplicity, communication, choices.
And that is the most important thing, I think. When you set goals or whatever, just make sure it's clear.
Yeah.
You have the Goosebump objective, because otherwise employees are going to be like, whatever, man, financial health, what does that mean? I'm not going to run for that.
No.
And make sure that everybody understands the language. So goals is too vague. What does a goal mean? What is an incentive? What is a target? What is a task? And how does the team contribute to achieving those goals? Do I summarize this conversation right, or do I forget anything?
I think that's right.
I think you got it pretty good. Should we go to the intermezzo?
Would you rather have a deeply meaningful but unmeasurable goal, like creating a sense of belonging in the workplace, or a clearly measurable short-term goal, like in Q2 we want X to be X% up? What, if you have to choose, gun to your head?
For me, gut comes first. So you first need to feel that connection, and measurable only comes second.
Okay, cool. And for you?
The second one, indeed. With if I'm applying Koen's Goosebump test, I wasn't feeling much.
The goosebumps.
The goosebumps.
Yeah.
And yeah, me, like I mentioned before, I'm more like, what do I generally need to focus on? Because that for me is enough to apply to the first one.
Okay, interesting.
Ooh, that will create a lot of bad written OKRs.
Yes, because for example, what we often use at 7 People is like the employee life cycle. Do you know it?
Yeah.
Like from onboard to offboard, and you have kind of, I see them as objectives without goosebumps, but for example, onboarding, creating amazing onboarding experience. And we think if you do all those things right, you have an irresistible organization, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Very simply said.
Yeah, if what you're saying is we are looking at all the people interventions and making sure that all moments that matter.
But normally what you see is that the startups and scale-ups already made a whole strategy like financial health or whatever, but they didn't take the HR strategy kind of in consideration. They are more like financial health, or we need to be more efficient, or we need to achieve this and this and this. How can you then make sure you get a seat on the table as an HR person?
First, you need a good foundation. So if you have that employee life cycle, what are your key KPIs, measures, how each of those steps perform?
Shall we zoom into one to make it very pragmatic for the listener? For example, we focus on development.
Oh yeah. So what are your 5 key measures, how well development goes in that client?
That's the point. It's very difficult sometimes to measure that, I think, right? I mean, if you have a performance review, you can measure how well performance is going. But help me out a bit.
Well, I mean, it's different things in development. The performance is one, and then we have maybe like learning budget. How much is the learning budget being spent? Oh, only 20%. Okay, we want to increase that, for example.
Yeah.
Or or for example, we offer some kind of training courses. What's the attendance rate? These kind of things.
In that way. Okay.
Yeah, or an output measure is how many internal promotions do you have?
Yeah.
Great one.
Good one.
Great one.
How many managers you hire externally tells you something about if you have the people and the development approach that create internal promotions.
Yeah.
If that's stuck, your development might not work.
Okay.
And so when it comes to KPIs, have input KPIs, how much of the budget is used. Throughput KPIs, how many people show up, what's the rating of the trainings,
good one.
How happy are people with the training, etc. And you have output KPIs, which is kind of the outcome. How many internal promotions do we have? How many junior to medium to senior do we have? And how fast does that go?
Yeah,
maybe even retention is a metric there.
I used to work for a company that if someone got promoted out of their team, the manager would get a bonus. So the manager's incentivized to get you a promotion.
Oh, that's actually pretty cool. I never heard this before.
Because it really wanted to focus on the internal thing, which showed we're developing as a company.
Yeah.
So I want to get a seat on the table, let's say. Step 1 is making a Goosebump objective for HR, let's say.
Maybe that's step 1, but then step 0 is have a good foundation.
Have a good foundation.
The boring fundamentals. For each step in the employee engagement cycle, have 5 key metrics.
Yeah.
Know how each step is performing. Because when you know how your foundation is performing, then you can create a story. What's my focus and why is this meaningful for the company strategy?
Yeah. Okay, that's very clear.
Yeah. Maybe you have 2 ways to translate, right? One is from my foundation, from how things go within the people team. What should be the focus for the team? And the second thing is the strategy of the company. What does it actually mean for what I should do and where I can contribute?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like personally, I'm not a fan of this like give me a seat at the table rhetoric. It is flipping it around and saying, okay, cool.
Yeah.
How can I contribute to the company achieving
what's keeping you up at night?
Yeah.
And you're the expert, right? You're maybe even the only expert in that table that knows something about people dynamics.
Yeah.
So they won't give you the answer to how can you be valuable to the strategy.
No.
So if you have the answer, then they will listen to you at the table, I guess.
Yeah, and that is my whole point. And I think that is, what quite a lot of maybe HR people struggle with, because that this topic isn't something that comes very, very natural to them.
Oh no, it's really hard also.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
But typically with like very senior leaders, executive level leaders, what they're interested in is how will you make them successful? It's not about you.
No.
It's about them.
No, but
how do you make them successful?
Yeah, exactly. But that is a bit of like, how can you give some tips and tricks, how I can talk in their language and how I can get
and I think
their attention / seat on the table.
And that's where it comes to the OKRs, right? Okay, well, we did this initiative, which increased this KR from X to Y, and which helps us achieve this objective.
Yeah.
But if I listen to all of this, then it's actually very important what you say, make a strong foundation, aka make sure that you have insights in your people analytics.
Yeah.
Right? So make use of that expensive HRS.
So if you don't have that foundation, you can't communicate why the initiative you propose is important.
And that is the whole thing. It stays fluffy.
Yeah, and I think it's even more challenging if you are the people person in the management team. They don't understand your field of expertise. Where if you talk about the product of the company, I guess everybody understands it. So if you have to propose a goal or something you like to focus on and need their okay on, which they don't understand, we need to improve ENPS. Okay, why? What is it? Why is it meaningful?
Yeah.
It's much harder to convince them. So having that clear foundation and a clear way to communicate about this is how our colleagues, our employees are performing.
Yeah.
Then you have a way to tell them what's important.
Yeah, because that's your baseline.
Yeah.
And from there, you're going to move it up a bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's also challenging, right? To say like, hey, this is where we're underperforming. This is not going well. We, suck at choosing the right trainings or whatever. But if you create that transparency, then you can talk about focus and goals.
And is it then also because I think if we then go back to the employee life cycle, I think also still a lot of things are difficult to measure for companies. Is it also okay just to be transparent about that? Like, not sure if should be a focus point because we don't have a baseline yet, but X, Y, Z, or how?
I don't know about this. I don't know if I agree it's difficult to measure, right? Because, for example, if I look at the early career journey, right, I've got the candidate experience score from the recruitment process. I've got the recruitment metrics. I've got the quality of hire score. I've got the onboarding survey feedback score. So, like, there's quite a lot of different interventions
to measure if that's how it's going.
Yeah, I'm a bit on two ends here.
Yeah.
So on one side, we shouldn't overcomplicate by trying to measure everything. Management is subjective. So it should be okay that you say like, hey, this stoplight got an orange because this is we've done 5 interviews and this is why it's not good enough.
Yeah.
As an expert, it's my subjective judgment. We're not yet green.
Yeah.
That should be okay.
I always say this to managers as well. I always say this, like you pay the big bucks, to make subjective judgments.
Yeah. So, if you can measure, you should. On the other side, OKRs, for example, as goal setting methodology, is mostly done wrong also because you don't follow through with what you should measure. And you put the key result, and then you can measure on a weekly basis. Or it takes 2 months before you have the dashboard up.
Yeah.
If you do OKRs and if you put something in key results, the 3rd day of the quarter, your dashboard should be up. Okay. Because after day 7, you have your first meeting. You should be able to look at progress on your key result. If you're not, as a company, good enough in your data, in having those KPIs, why do OKRs? Because it's too hard for you.
Yeah.
Choose something more simple.
Yeah.
And get first better at quantitative management, about having data, about analyzing it.
Yeah.
Before you do something as complicated as OKRs.
Yeah.
But it's both.
Fascinating.
And that is the whole point that I was trying to make you see, we work a lot of companies that are still starting up, literally. Yeah. So they don't always have all these complicated dashboards and they don't always have a very strong baseline. So, how should you then decide where to start and where to focus on?
Yeah.
But what you say, maybe first try to create a baseline and build a good foundation before you start making very complicated KPIs and OKRs that you cannot measure anyway.
Yeah, it's also for not only for your communication with the management team, but also for your own people team, right? If you have this simple dashboard with 5 steps of the customer journey, each having 5 metrics, so it's 25 things on a piece of paper, give them a color, green, orange, red.
Love it.
Talk about it every month. Which thing changed? Where is our focus?
Love it.
Yeah, it sounds so easy when you explain it like this, right?
All right. This is super fascinating. I think we could talk about it all day, but
Yeah.
I think we need to wrap it up. So
Yeah.
I really liked what you said. The goal setting is a tool for communication and alignment. For me, that is like,
Yeah.
What about you, Flo?
For me, what really sticked out was indeed the Goosebump objective.
Yeah, Goosebump objectives. Yeah.
I really liked that one. I never thought about it like that. And also what I really think is a good tip, just indeed make it simple. Don't overcomplicate things. And also don't measure things that you are not able to measure. It will just give stress and you will never reach your goals. And I really liked the tip on, for example, the customer journey or the employee life cycle, especially for the HR people. Look at onboarding, make a Goosebump objective out of onboarding and have like 5 things that you can measure around it if it's possible, and just have a monthly meeting about it and see if you have progress.
Amazing.
Ribbon on it, done.
Excellent.
Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you so much, Koen.
It was really interesting. Thank you so much again also for listening. We will see you next month. And Personio, thank you for sponsoring this one. Bye.